Hello everybody! So it's Pineapple here, and so today we're back for part 2 of our Exploring the History of Yu-Gi-Oh's ban list, where we explore one monster, one spell, one trap, and one extra deck monster from Yu-Gi-Oh's banned cards. What put them on the ban list, the history the cards have with the ban list, and of course my personal opinions on whether or not said card can return to the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG. As always, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe as it immensely helps me out. So with that, let's dive into our first card. So, for our first card, we have Spiral Master Plan. Now, initially released in Invasion of Vengeance, Master Plan is a level 7 Dark Spellcaster with 1200 attack and 2800 defense, and the following text. Once per turn, you can add a Spiral Mission card from your deck to your hand, and if it's sent to the graveyard from the field, you can add a Spiral Resort and one Spiral Monster from your deck to your hand, except itself. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, did you notice anything abusable? If you said the lack of a hard once per turn located on Master Plan's on-field search effect, you'd be dead on. Additionally, her ability to search Spiral Resort was an incredibly powerful one as well. But the thing that really pushed Master Plan over the edge from being an incredibly powerful card in a unique deck is the simple fact that she's a level 7 spellcaster, and this is because of this card. Simply put, it's Magician Souls. So, if you're unfamiliar with Magician Souls, it allows you to send a level 6 or higher spellcaster from deck to grave as a cost, and then summon itself. Additionally, it allows you to send up to 2 spell cards from your hand or field to the grave and draw that many cards. So, Spiral has a lot of cards that, 1, like to be in the grave, and 2, have on-field effects with non-hard once per turns that you can send to draw more cards. Additionally, it lets you foolish Master Plan for cost. So, since it's so synergistic and so powerful, you would think that this would work great, and it did. Examples of some of the non-once per turn on-field searches include Spiral Resort, which allows you to, once per turn, add a Spiral Monster from deck to hand. You know, just casually. Unbelievable card. Super powerful. And the fact that you could search Master Plan with Souls was so powerful that it eventually got her banned on April 1st of 2020. So, while Spiral certainly is a powerful strategy with the existence of Souls, because Master Plan is a spellcaster for some reason, we can talk about can it return. And I'm going to say maybe, probably. So, while Magicians of Souls now has a Searcher in Illusion of Chaos, Master Plan is currently a 3 in Master Duel, along with cards like Chicken Game, which are also extremely synergistic as they dig you deeper into your deck and can be sent off Souls to draw more cards. And it's not even a tiered deck, really. And we're rapidly approaching the end of what is a historic format with tier. And as one historic format falls, oftentimes Spiral rises to take its place. So I think it's reasonably likely that you might see this card at 1 on the upcoming FNL list. I'm not sure that's good, but I certainly think that Spiral could come back into the fray. That said, I'm not sure we all want to see more Spiral gameplay, but it's certainly something that could happen. It is reasonable that this card could come back. I don't think that Master Plan does something so unbelievably broken that it will never be unbanned, but I also don't think that it is something that necessarily should be unbanned at this moment. So, moving on to our spell of this episode, we have the normal spell That Grass Looks Greener. So, Grass was initially released in Raging Tempest on February 10th, 2017, and it has the following text. If you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard so that you have the same number of cards in your deck as your opponent. So the first thing you'll notice is that this card reads mill 20 if your opponent is on a 40 card deck and you are on a 60 card pile. The next thing you'll notice is it doesn't even have a once per turn, meaning it can beat Ash. I guess Konami thought that after you resolved Grass, you'd have the same amount of cards in your deck, and therefore wouldn't be able to do it again, and that it didn't need a once per turn as a result. Instead, it just says, if they have Ash, you don't care. So, any deck that likes to be in the graveyard obviously loves this card. Everything from Zombies, to Lightsworn, to Thunder, to Shadal, to Infernoid, they love this card. There's actually so many different decks that are able to abuse this in a variety of different ways, just by either triggering names that activate when they're sent from deck to grave, have graveyard effects. There's an unbelievable amount of them, and that listing each of them and how they abuse this card would actually take me at least a week. Because, again, it's simple. It reads mill 20 cards off the top of your deck. It's a ridiculously toxic card that led to people playing 60 card piles without grass, simply to blank their opponent. And Konami recognized this incredibly quickly, to the extent that it was limited on June 12th, 2017. That's less than 4 months. That's unbelievably quickly. They put it to 1 on June 12th, like I said. So instead, it became a Saki one-of that you would play things like left arm to find. Just, you love to see it. A one-of in a 60-card pile that just reads go plus 20. You gotta love Konami for those decisions. So a year later, though, they rectified their mistake on May 21st, 2018 by banning it. Thank God. But moving on to the part that I'm certain some people want to know, can it come back? Absolutely not. It is a extremely toxic card, despite the fact that there are people who argue for its release from the ban list due to its lack of play in Master Duel. But the truth is simple: it's a toxic card. It makes for a lot of wasting of time and paper. When you have to count how many cards your opponent went through if you're going second, how many cards they added from deck to hand, etc. And then you have to check your own deck, and then milling the exact difference is annoying. It's frustrating. It's ridiculous. And it also reads plus 20. It reads go plus 20. It's just not a healthy card for a format. We saw that when people played 60 card piles without it, just to blank their opponents. It is not a fun card to play with or against, although I do think it is very satisfying to resolve grass on Master Duel, but that's a separate story. So, moving on to our extra deck monster. I've selected an incredibly interesting card, and that is Nightmare Mermaid. So, Nightmare Mermaid was initially released in Flames of Destruction on May 4th, 2018, and is a Link 1 monster requiring 1 Nightmare monster as the Link material, and has the following effect. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard 1 card as a cost, special summon 1 Nightmare monster from your deck. Then, if this card was co-linked, when this effect was activated, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect of Nightmare Mermaid once per turn. Monsters on the field lose 1,000 attacking defense unless they are co-linked. This card is famous for making any 2 monsters into full Orcust combo, since you could make either Nightmare Phoenix or Nightmare Cerberus, and then link into Mermaid and grab Orcust Nightmare from your deck to start your combo up. The combo ended on an Omni Negate in Orcust Crescendo, and the effect of gears you to send 1 card your opponent controls to the grave. It was an incredibly powerful for its time, and it made the deck extremely consistent despite the bricks that you would have to play in order to be playing Orcust. Additionally, it made Orcust a splashable engine in just about everything at the time. The consistency offered by being able to go full combo of any 2 monsters was simply too much, and eventually Konami was forced to intervene. On January 20th, Konami ended Mermaid's reign of terror by banning her, although it would not be enough to stop Orcust, as the deck would continue to see tops at high-level events, although it certainly brought it more in line with the other big players in TOS. But I want to talk about the most interesting part. Can we unban Mermaid? In the short term, probably not. Konami hasn't even begun to let Orcust off the ban list with Harp yet, so I don't think there's any way they'd give us back Mermaid before Harp, obviously. But long term, I think there's a real possibility that in the next half a decade or so, we will see the release of Mermaid from the ban list. While Mermaid certainly makes Orcust into a splashable engine, I would argue that that's the best way to play Orcust, a splashable engine. The bricks necessary to play Orcust are far, far too many, and by modern standards, it would be a splash at best. And also, Mermaid doesn't do anything that is so conceptually broken that it leads me to the conclusion it will be stuck on the ban list forever. Mermaid does not fall into the categories of being a combo finisher like VFD. It does not fall into the floodgate category like something like Mystic Mine. And it doesn't do something that is just a generic staple card like Painful Choice, Pot of Greed, that just makes every deck better. It fits a specific niche that is too powerful for the moment, and therefore can eventually come back. It is not a generic combo piece like Nightmare Goblin, which is just, get an extra normal. And so for conceptually speaking reasons, I believe you can bring Mermaid back, but whether or not we should, I'll leave up to you, the viewer. So, for our last card, I thought we would talk about everyone's favorite floodgate, Vanity's Emptiness. So, if you're unfamiliar, Vanity's Emptiness was released in Star Strike Blast on November 16th, 2010, and reads as follows. Neither player can special summon monsters. If a card is sent from the deck or the field to your graveyard, destroy this card. Can you begin to see why it's BS? Doing your full combo, then flipping this on your opponent is one, super strong, but playing it in a deck that neither special summons or sends to the grave, like a Fluwandereeze, for example, is also just so bullshit. I suppose, though, that Konami thought giving it a simple and fragile self-destruct button was simple enough to keep it in line. However, that effect actually is more problematic than just the initial floodgate, since it means that you can turn off your own Vanity's Emptiness and play on your own turn while completely shutting your opponent out of playing on theirs. It truly is a broken and toxic floodgate. And unfortunately for us, it would take a long time for Konami to recognize the monster that they had created, all the way up until April 1st, 2015, where it would only be limited, which made it a Saki one-of, in addition to a frustrating floodgate, similar to what they did with Io. And even that took over 4.5 years just to get to that point. It wouldn't be until March 31st that they would finally ban this card. I'll make it as simple as I can for everyone. This card cannot come back, nor should it come back. It isn't fun to play with or against, it adds variance to the game, and it can frankly rot with Mystic Mine. There is nothing good added by this card to Yu-Gi-Oh! Keep it on the ban list. It doesn't even do weird interactions with other cards like Treeborn. It doesn't even permit you to summon like Royal Oppression. It is just frustrating and dumb. If you guys like this video, of course, remember to like and subscribe. I'll be back with more of these each Friday. And I will see you guys in the next one.